Hey everyone, welcome to Square State. I'm your host, Michelle Jackson. If California and Texas had a wild love affair, Colorado would be the result. Because let's face it, California and Texas would never get married. Today we're talking about 10 amazing Denver-based communities that I think you need to know about, especially if you're about to move here, or maybe you live here and you're just like, so many things have changed, I can't keep up, I don't know what's going on. So I thought I would share a couple of communities that I thought were doing amazing work, just really fun-spirited people, and just were kind of in alignment with the mission of Square State, which is to connect people who are coming to the state as well as people who already live here. I think that there's not enough conversation between the two groups sometimes, and sometimes people who grew up here feel a little overwhelmed by all the change, and I think it's really important to get those two groups of people together. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Before we get started, I do want to give a shout out to this show's sponsor, ModWorks. ModWorks is one of my favorite co-working spaces in the city of Denver. I've actually dated a lot of co-working spaces, if you will, for this project, for the Square State project. And consistently, ModWorks just stands head and shoulders above the rest, literally and figuratively. ModWorks is located at 110 16th Street. It's right downtown. It's literally across from Civic Center Station. It's an incredible location. It also has a 14th floor patio, so you can just look at the mountains. It's so beautiful. The owner, John, is so nice. It's just one of the things that I look at with co-working spaces is that there is a feeling of community, which I definitely observed the other day when everyone was hanging out together playing HQ. HQ was new to me, and now I think I might get addicted to it. ModWorks is affordable, fun-loving, and just a really great community. If you're coming to visit Denver and you need a place to work, please give ModWorks a look, as well as if you are moving to Denver and you need a place to set up your business, ModWorks is definitely a place that you should check out. Go to www.modworks.com to set up a tour. You can let them know that you discovered them via Square State. Just let them know that Michelle sent you. Okay, so let's get to it. So the first community, and it's interesting because I have a couple of other co-working spaces that have also kind of morphed into really interesting communities on this list. The first one is Women in Kind. I first was introduced to this business model and to this business via a Women Who Startup meeting. And it was being held at Women in Kind. And Women Who Startup is not on this list. That's going to be on a different list because they are an incredible community, but I want them on a different list. But anyway, Women in Kind is a space created for women. There are little things like sometimes offices are really freaking cold. Have you noticed that? There's a reason why women always wear twin sets. It's because the offices are way too cold. And Women in Kind thinks of all the different things that women need in order to have a comfortable space where they can focus and be successful. I highly recommend that if you're wanting a space like that, they even have an area for children, like supervised area with childcare, so that you can bring your itty bitties and get your work did. Okay, so really, I can't recommend them enough. The founders are so nice, and it's just a really great community of women. Probably my only thing with Women in Kind is it is located kind of far if you live south. So that would be my only thing. You can get there via light rail if you take the A line. It's in the Stapleton area, basically. It's basically over there. Check out Women in Kind. They're doing amazing things. It's just, I'm so excited to see them grow this business and this mission-based business model. So check it out. You know what I also am fascinated by? There are a lot of women-based businesses that I have on this list. So women are killing it here in Denver. So the next community that I'm very excited about is House of Pod. Now, House of Pod is new to me. I'm very I'm really looking forward to checking it out and doing some podcast recordings and things like that there. But basically, House of Pod is a co-working space dedicated to podcasters. And I'm going to be honest, I don't have a sense of a podcasting, like a cohesive podcasting community in Denver. And so I think that this is a brilliant way to create that, to provide services, to provide space for people who want to share their voices, share their creative visions, and just share what they're doing. I can't wait to check this out. I think it's a brilliant business model. I also belong to a Facebook group called Podcaster. What is it called? All of these groups in Facebook have like slightly tricky names sometimes to remember. So I'm going to look it up. Just a second. Oh, so I belong to the podcast movement community, a community for podcasters. I'm friends with Jared and Dan Franks. Those are two of the 4 gentlemen who started the podcast movement conference and just community. And it was so interesting because I think it was Jared who shared the House of Pod information in the group. And this is a international group. Like, it's not just people in Colorado. This is a group of people all over the world. And they were freaking out. They were like, I wish we had this in my town. So you guys, this is something really special. So make sure you go there and check it out, especially as podcasters, you do have a space to develop and share your craft. So House of Pod. By the way, I will be sharing links to all of these resources and communities so that you don't have to search for them all over the place. You'll just go to SQS018.com. My URL is a little weird, so I'm waiting to get that fixed, but just go to SQS018.com and you'll see you'll just scroll through the blog post. You'll see the blog post. It's the most immediate one. Anyway. Women of Denver. So this one is really interesting because Crystal Covington, I believe is her name, created this group. And I don't think she's originally from Denver, but she's created this incredible group that even has a magazine. Like, it has a magazine and different events that people can attend, speakers. It's just pretty badass. And they even have on May 24th, there's an event called Badassery in the Boardroom. I tend to think that this is a great community for businesswomen who tend to be older millennials, Gen X. That's the vibe I get. I could be wrong. So don't not go, just check it out. But it's an incredible resource for women entrepreneurs in Denver. And I feel really excited to check it out. I feel really privileged to have this opportunity to check it out. So one of the things I want to reflect on in sharing these things is a lot of these communities are very new. And if you have an idea that you don't see is being done yet, create it. Denver's really open to these ideas. So start your vision now. Start, because it takes time to grow it. Okay, so there's Women of Denver, and then there's Denver Boss Babes. I love these ladies. They're freaking hilarious. They're going to be slightly younger millennials, but actually there's a lot of Gen Xers in this group. I'm a Gen X, and I belong to the group. Roxy Barnes and Chelsea Blankenship both started this community for female entrepreneurs. They're the fun-loving, focused, let's make some money, but talk about crazy stuff people, and they are on fire. I love these people. I love this group. I laugh every time I'm in. If I am taking a break and I go to Facebook and I just want to check out what's going on, I laugh my butt off. They're some of the funniest, sweetest people I've ever had the privilege of meeting. And I've met some awesome people in general. They're just wonderful. So I love this community, Denver Boss Babes. They provide, similar to all the other groups, free programming, just things to really help grow and develop people's businesses. Professionals of Color Networking Group. So I don't know a lot about this group, but I've had my eye on it for a while. And Dr. Lisa, I think it's Dr. Lisa Vallejos, which you would think I'd be able to say her name right because I've been studying Spanish for how long, but it just means I need to go and live in Colombia for a while. But anyway, I digress. She has started this group, and I think that it speaks to something very important in a city like Denver, which interestingly has a Black mayor, has a Black police chief, but it doesn't have a lot of Black people compared to other major U.S. cities. Actually, Aurora is where a lot of people of color are based out of. So it's an interesting dynamic. And as business people in a white state, I do think that sometimes it's healthy and helpful to share experiences, share ideas, and just talk about some things that might come up, similar to being a woman in business, or just whatever it is that might be slightly off what you would consider the norm. By the way, I belong to more than one community, so probably not the ones you would expect. So I belong to more than one community kind of on purpose, because for me, I think it's really important to kind of commingle my interests and commingle with lots of different people. But I think that it's really important to have these spaces where people can just talk about certain things that you would never really be able to talk about in traditional networking situations, such as code switching. So for people who are like, what in the world is code switching? It's this idea that for some people, how they show up in a space that's not predominantly whatever their culture is, they have to show up differently. So maybe there are certain things that I would talk about differently in a group of all Black people, to be frank, versus in a mixed group of people or with white people. I'm pretty consistent. Like, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about. You're going to come with me on that journey, because I think it's healthy for everybody to just have conversations. I'm not one of those, like, we're in a networking space and then I just drop random stuff, but I don't shy away from conversations like that. But for some people, it's like very uncomfortable and they don't want to do that. So it's good to have communities like the Professionals of Color networking group to connect with. The Commons on Champa, by the way, I'm giving a huge shout out to them at the end of this episode when I share a project that I'm working on. I'm so excited about it. The Commons on Champa is just, I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. They're just the best. I shared an interview with Jesse Schuler, the community manager. He is so kind. He and his colleague, it's just a wonderful free space for startup entrepreneurs in Denver. How amazing is that? Like, there's no excuse when you're starting a business. You have a free space to work from. You have free internet. You've got coffee. Commons on Champa, it's right by the light rail. You just get off the light rail and walk across the street. It's right connected on the east side of the Denver Center for Performing Arts. The Commons on Champa, I can't emphasize enough what a jewel of a resource that space is for people in the startup space in Denver. We are so lucky. If you're starting up a business, you must go there. There's so many tools, resources, just opportunities that are connected to that space. Again, I will actually provide a link to the show from the other week so that you can listen to that and hear what they do. The Colorado Startups closed Facebook group. And I want to yes, Colorado Startups. So I didn't know until I spoke with Jesse from the Commons on Champa that there's this huge group for people who are starting up businesses. And if you are starting a business, it's a really lonely and stressful road. Like, you need community. The cool thing about this is you can also share when you need help with business related help, like you need staff or systems, tech help, whatever, and people will get you in front of the people who can help you grow your business. So Colorado Startups is a great community to be a part of. They do have really good moderators for all of these groups. So you can't just be going into these groups trying to kind of share your business clandestinely, if you will. You will need to be helpful and really positive members of the community. So don't go in there thinking you're just going to pitch what you do. That's not going to work. So check that group out. I've included one group that's a little different than all these business groups. It's an cultural group, like it's an arts-based group, Slam Nuba. Okay, I love slam poetry. I love spoken word. I love it. I'm like weirdly obsessed with it. And Slam Nuba, which is Denver's slam poetry team and community, is just phenomenal, phenomenal. And again, in a town that doesn't have a lot of diverse voices sometimes, Slam Nuba, I want to like support them in any and every way possible. I just can't gush enough. They've actually won the national slam poetry championships a few years ago. Denver actually hosted the national slam poetry. Denver actually hosted the national slam poetry championships, I think in 2017. I feel like it was last year. No, it was the year before. I'm not sure. Anyway, it was like a year or two ago. It was incredible. It was just incredible. Slam Nuba, for those of you who are focused on the arts, this is a community of people who have a lot to say. Unbelievable. You must support what they do. I can't say it enough. I love them. You know what? I feel like I wrote, okay. The next one is meetup.com. And it's funny because meetup.com is a community, obviously, that came out of the 9/11 tragedy. But the meetup.com community in Denver is crazy. I had one friend say that the meetup community in Denver is on steroids. Like there's just so many opportunities for you to participate in different things such as hiking, biking, arts-driven things, Spanish, French, anything you could think of. Basically, there is a group in the Denver-based meetup community. You could start your own meetup. Like it's just business-related meetups. The list is crazy. It's just unbelievable. So if you come to Denver or you live in Denver and you're like, I'm having a hard time meeting people or I'm not connecting with people, if meetup.com is not on your rotation, you're making a mistake. You need it, go to meetups. I will say one thing about meetups. This is how just meeting new people tends to be. Sometimes the meetups are going to have people that you're like, who are these people? That's just normal. That's just how it goes. And then other meetups, you're like, these are friends for life. So I strongly recommend you checking meetup.com out and just having a good time. Finally, this is where I'm very excited. I am kicking off a series of events called the Welcome Mat. Basically, this is an offshoot of the Square State project. My goal is to connect newly arrived Coloradans, newly arrived Denverites with current Coloradans and kind of get them to talk about different interesting topics. Swag bags will be there, some light refreshments. The first event is on May 4th at the Commons on Champa. Again, I love the Commons on Champa. I love them, love them, love them. And they've been so kind to allow me to host the events there for the rest of the year. So it'll be at the Commons on Champa from 3 until 4:30. At 3:30, there will be a panel discussion on how to make personal and professional connections in Denver. I have different speakers who will be there, including Maddie Osman from the Freelancers Spark Union, Jesse Schuler from the Commons on Champa, John Bosch, I want to say John's last name is Bosch, from ModWorks Co-working Space. And it's. I feel like there might be one other person that I'm gonna add to the panel. Check it out. It's an amazing opportunity to just share what concerns you might have, connect with people, any fears that you might have about moving to a new place. I remember what it's like to move to somewhere new. Like you're both like very excited and slightly terrified. I want to eliminate the terrified aspect of moving to a new space, a new place, and help people really find a home base, if you will, so that as they make the transition to their new city, it's just a lot more comfortable. I've had friends who have moved to Colorado and it hasn't worked out for them in the way that they had hoped. And oh, by the way, John's last name is Borst. So sorry, John. But there's nothing worse than moving somewhere and feeling like you can't meet people. And I actually have friends who moved here from the Midwest and they're moving back home because they had a really hard time meeting people. I will say though, in Denver and in Colorado in general, and I make a point of this in the free Moving to Colorado guide that I've created, people really do socialize via activity. So if you're not really interested in doing like biking, hiking, snowboarding, walking, those kinds of things where you're slightly active and then you get the beer as the reward, it will be kind of difficult to socialize here. I'm just going to be frank. So think about that as you consider moving to Denver. If you're going to be a homebody, it's going to be tricky to get other people to be homebodies with you. So anyway, that is it for this episode of Square State. I really look forward to seeing you at the Welcome Mat event. Kicks off May 4th, 2018 at the Commons on Champa from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Pretty low key, just a really easy way to connect with people and just talk about some stuff. I'll announce the June date probably like that day, by the way. So there's going to be an event a month. And then I think I might add like a fun event, like an activity too. So I'm thinking about that. Make sure you check out the community that kind of interests you the most. Again, let them know that Michelle from Square State referred you. Just let them know that that's how you heard about it. And I really hope that one of these communities helps you find your way as you make your home in Denver. If you're interested in sponsoring a show, please do email me at coloradolovehub@gmail.com. That's Colorado Love, L-U-V Hub @gmail.com. I have different sponsorship opportunities, obviously not just for the podcast and website, but also for events. Would love to hear from you. I'm very focused on getting people into locally owned businesses, paying for locally created products, and using local services. So again, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode and have a beautiful day. Don't forget to check out ModWorks. Fantastic, fantastic co-working space. I love it, especially this time of year. It's so beautiful. Like when you can just sit on the patio and look at the mountains and look at the state capitol and just get some fresh air. Did I mention that John also has a giant puppy? It's a giant puppy. It's so cute. Anyway, have a great day and take care.